Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good pleasant morning. I bid to all my beloved students. All my students, okay, hoping everybody in a very good condition. Okay, so we stop the music first. Okay, basically, teacher would like to share with you the collection of pre-PSPM question from different college. Okay, so hoping this will help you to prepare for your final preparation for your PSPM. Okay, so this is a collection of pre-PSPM for topic 3. Okay, as you all know that topic 3 contribute 6 marks. So teacher hope that this topic 3 able to help you to at least collect marks. Okay, basically if you go through, okay, this is our question for prepare SPM, our college. Okay, so our college choose to give one short essay. Okay, one short essay question which contributes 6 marks. Okay, where you need to differentiate between the natural selection and artificial selection. So as you can see here, natural selection, of course, the nature, okay, the keyword nature. So it is selection that selection agent is the environment. Okay, whereas for artificial, as you all know, of course, the contribution of this selection is of course we as a human. Okay, and then natural selection is actually it's a random. Okay, it's by chance. Depends on the how environment, okay, create the pattern of the selection. But for artificial, okay, we are the one that uh, decide. Okay, we are the one that plan, decide, or in intervention of the selection, right? And of course, when it's when it's determined by environment, okay, so the natural selection, it is a what we call is a strong selection. Okay, the fitness is quite high. Okay, whereas for artificial, it depends on the the patterns that choose. Okay, so sometimes it can involve depression. Okay, that one is you need to know if chapter 3, basically these are the two concept. Okay, so our college used to ask you this. Okay, beside that, you also can be asked by reproductive isolation. So, teacher would like you to recall this basic concept, reproductive isolation for chapter 3. Okay, so this is more under the concept of speciation concept. Okay, so when mentioned about speciation, okay, there are two types of speciation, right? Okay, where speciation is the formation of a new species. Okay, the new species from the pre-existing species, and it must involve evolution lah, right? Okay, so when mentioned about speciation, okay, it must involve the concept of ovulation, and it takes times. Okay, times. Okay, of course it takes times. So if you still remember in our notes, okay, when mentioned about this one is actually to help you understand the question number 1. This this what to say, what class, this concept map. Okay, so for reproductive isolation, okay, you must remember the pre-zygotic and as well as the post-zygotic. Okay, so this is for Kmns. Okay, if you see the question for College Matrikulasi Selangor, okay, it gives where you need to sketch, okay, the y-axis and the x-axis, the phenotype against the number of individual. So this one is under natural selection, where you need to know the three type of natural selection. Am I right? Okay, so this one class, the natural selection, the stabilizing selection, the destructive selection. Okay, so this is stabilizing selection. Okay, this is the this is the, sorry, this uh again class again. So this is the stabilizing. Okay, this one class, this is the stabilizing, where it favor the intermediate phenotype. Okay, so this is the destructive stabilized, sorry, destructive selection, where it favor one extreme phenotype. Okay, one extreme phenotype. Okay, and after that, this is a directional selection lah. Okay, directional selection, where it only favor one extreme phenotype. Kalau disruptive just now, is favor both extreme, both extreme phenotype. Okay, so one class both, this disruptive, right? Okay, so class Selangor ask you to sketch. So from the given situation, okay, you have to understand, from large seed, okay, over small seed, okay, abundance of large seed. So when automatic, this is the Galapagos Island. Okay, so when small a large seed, of course, this will show the uh, selection. Okay, so your answer, you have to sketch this one, Nicholas. Okay, the curve. Okay, you can see here the normal curve, right? So it will against the intermediate, and as well as the another extreme. Okay, so this is directional. So the pressure, you see, this is the pressure, the arrow here. So if you ask to draw the pressure, so this is the pressure. Okay, that one's the Selangor, number one. Okay, you have to sketch, and after that, name the, wait, that one's number one. Okay, after that, number one, the effect of, okay, number one, so they drawn there. So then after that, you have to differentiate between the stabilizing and the natural selection. Okay, so as you can see here, if teacher sketch again, stabilizing is like this. Okay, where it will favor the, it favor the, again to draw. So this is the normal curve. So stabilizing, it will favor the intermediate. Okay, compare to the directional. Okay, so this is the normal curve. So directional, it will favor one extreme, for favor one extreme phenotype only, right? So it will against individual with another extreme phenotype, and for stabilizing, it will favor against both extreme phenotype, and for stabilizing is always operate in stable environment, whereas for directional, it operates in response to environmental changes, like the question just now, number one. Okay, so then that is number two. Okay, now B. This is the flower, the purple monkey flower, Okay, and another one is the scarlet monkey flower. Both have the same genus, Mimulus. Okay, so the question asks you, identify the pre-zygotic barrier. So in reproductive isolation, okay, for this situation with two flower, the pre-zygotic isolation is the mechanical isolation. Okay, mechanical means what, class? The stigma fails to produce chemical for germination of the pollen. Okay, you still remember the topic reproduction, class? Okay, the stigma will secrete sugar, right? Or chemical, right? So that's a mechanical isolation. Teacher, hope you all remember. There are, when mentioned about the what class, the this one. Okay, we have six. Again, mentioned habitat, temporal, behavioral, mechanical, gamete. Gamete. Okay, oh, we have five. Sorry, we have five isolation for prezygotic. Okay, again we ulang habitat, temporal, behavioral, mechanical and gametic. So in this case, it's a mechanical isolation. Okay, sympatric speciation can occur when certain behavioral barrier result in the reproductive isolation of population. So such as one behavioral barrier, so it's a courtship behavior. Courtship behavior means it is referring to the mating ritual. Okay, so this is one behavior barrier that may result in the reproductive isolation. Okay, that one is Kmns Selangor. Done. We go to Pulau Pinang. Pulau Pinang choose bottleneck effect. When you saw this diagram, automatic comes into your mind. This is genetic drift. Okay, genetic drift. So genetic drift, when mentioned about genetic drift, there are two types. Okay, bottleneck effect and the effect. So obviously this is a bottle. Okay, from large population suddenly event A occur and only a few surviving population. Okay, so what is the meaning of genetic drift? Right, the keyword you must mention random change. Random change of what? When mentioned what gene pool is allele frequency. Okay, in the small population. Okay, so what is the event? The event is bottleneck effect that showed in the diagram just now in this class. The bottleneck event. And how does this event lead to the formation of new species? As you know, isolation is a formation of new species from pre-existing species through ablation. So what happened? The from large population where it from the original population, just now you can see, okay, inside the bottle, original population, okay, with large population, suddenly there is a disaster like tsunami, okay, or our human action as well as human action also, it will decrease suddenly. That is the meaning of bottleneck effect. Okay, from large, okay, and then suddenly destroyed by natural disaster or human action, okay, and become small population, small surviving population, right? That's why, of course, this small surviving population will totally involve change in their gene pool, right? Okay, so different gene pool will be presented in the bottleneck effect, okay, and there will be some gene or some allele, okay, totally abolish or totally not exist anymore, right, in this case of bottleneck effect. Okay, another event is about founder effect. Okay, founder effect, the concept is still the same, but it's just that the founder effect, okay, it involves a small population where it migrate or isolated the large population. Kalau ngajuk lah kono kan. Okay, so that is for Penang. Okay, now go to Pahang. Pahang choose one species that known as in Poaceae family, where is poa atau grass. Okay, the grass. So this is Poa pratensis. As you can see, class, Poa. This is Kentucky bluegrass. Okay, so this is smooth blue snowgrass. Very nice, right, guys? Okay, so then the question need you to define BSC, okay, biology species concept. So teacher would like you to have bear in mind, you need to understand this BSC, biology species concept. Okay, when I mention about species means it can interbreed. That what it means by species. So interbreed as usual in nature. Okay, and they able to produce fertile offspring. Tetapi, but there is a but, okay, but they become reproductively isolated from other population. They do not produce interbreed with members of other species. Yeah, that is the concept of biological species concept. Okay, all right. So then, two type of isolation, like teacher mentioned, there are five. So you can mention any two. okay, habitat isolation, temporal isolation, behavioral isolation, mechanical isolation, gammatic isolation. Okay, and need two from the 5 isolation. Okay, still faham? The next question is, given the situation, tiba-tiba there's a ribut taufan, thunderstorm. Okay, and the population of the parenthesis what up, okay, from the live population, and tinggal sikit je, right, remaining population. So we call it genetic drift. To understand better, it's like what happened in Aceh class, human population, Aceh human population, when tsunami suddenly occur. Okay, so random change in allele frequency in the gene pool of small population through generation. Okay, so scientists, question B, given the concept of scientists study warbirds. So what is this concept? Okay, and he observed that one bird species had a beak that was adapted to extract small insect. So this is natural selection. Okay, so natural selection, a process in which individual have certain inherited traits tend to survive and reproduce at higher rates than others that have those traits. That is what it means natural selection. That teacher want to learn. Second is faham now ke Melaka choose rabbit. Okay, there are 3 type of rabbit: black, white, grey. So when you saw this population of rabbit, automatically you have to think the concept of what you have learned before this, what we call as a Hardy-Weinberg, okay, concept. Okay, so when the question asks you to plot, okay, the graph, right? So if you can see from a previous question, okay, from different college, okay, this is chapter 3. How they ask you about chapter 3. Okay, the genetic drift, the natural selection, the reproductive isolation. Okay, right. So you have to sketch the graph. So this is the graph class. The y-axis, of course, the population size against the phenotype. Okay, so both correct. You get a correct curve. So the correct curve is like this. Okay, because it's the disruptive selection. It extreme both phenotype against the intermediate phenotype. Okay, so this is the pressure. So the answer is destructive selection. Okay, and then what is the similarity between the founder effect and the bottleneck effect, and also the differences? So bottleneck effect and founder effect sama ni because they involve genetic drift. Okay, genetic drift means a sudden change class. Okay, so what is the similarity? So you can see both changes in allele, okay, from the large population and become small population. Reduce genetic variation and lead to speciation, yes, okay, and different allele frequency that does not represent original population, yes, okay. So apabila as you can see, founder effect and bottleneck effect, both are phenomena. It's just that founder effect is isolated from original population, whereas bottleneck effect is a sudden decrease. Okay, and due to migration, and also biasanya bottleneck effect is due to natural disaster. Okay, Kelantan pula. Kelantan pula, as you can see, okay, the diagram, it use the directional selection, okay, where it against intermediate selection. Okay, so this is destructive selection. Automatically you can detect from the given graph class, the y-axis against the phenotype. Okay, so it is referring to this diagram. Example, notes. Okay, we choose such shape. Remember class, n means you must have these two, n, then you can get 1 mark. Galapagos finches. Okay, so same like before, this one is differences between natural selection, artificial selection, where same like Kmns just now, right? Okay, our question, are asking about natural selection and artificial selection, the differences. So same goes to college class 1. Okay, they will ask you the question different between natural and artificial selection. They choose to ask you about sympathetic. So when the question, when given the situation, two population separated by mountain range. So of course this is allopatric. Allopatric means geographical isolated, like this. Let's say like this one, geographical isolated. And similarity between what we mentioned just now, the allopatric and other mode of expression. So that means this difference between allopatric and sympatric, right? Okay, so you have to mention that kalau allopatric, the result of new species in both okay, dissimilarities. One similarity, both will produce speciation where concept is interbreed from the pre-existing species and both become productively isolated. Okay, kelas reproductive isolated. Okay, teacher harap you understand the concept of this allopatric and sympatric speciation. Okay, and to one factor that involved in the formation of new species. So this one. Okay, you can give anyone. Last but not least, Kedah. Okay, Kedah choose genus Rana, but this is Rana aurora and Rana boylii. Okay, so as you can see here, Rana aurora reproduce January to March. Rana boylii March to May. So what is this reproductive isolation? Of course, okay, when it comes to bulan dia kelas month, okay, in the calendar. So it's a temporal isolation. And define the type of reproductive isolation to species that breed during different time, okay, of the day or different season or year, cannot mix their gamete. Okay, and last but not least, Kedah chose what state one factor that involve the formation of new species. So you can give either 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there are 4 factors, so you can choose anyone. And what is the founder effect? Okay, like teacher mentioned just now, this is under genetic drift. Okay, so genetic drift, always remember, okay, a migration of a few people from large population to create a new group, okay, to new members. So this small population is isolated and migrate from the large parents, right? So it will form new smaller population, and the frequency of certain allele will change over time, and the gene input are totally different from the original population. Okay, class. So I think about question 3. Okay, teacher hope you all will get the whole idea of chapter 3. Okay, for you to understand for your PSPM. Okay, thank you class. See you again for the next question. Okay, bye. Assalamualaikum.